I've had a few people mention this recently, so I thought it's probably about time I actually did this and take another look at the Tonkor with a, I don't want to say a crit build, but with Argon scope on it, which is, it's not that bad. The reason I don't tend to use the Tonkor that much is I use the Cyanoid Simulor for the higher level infested missions. There is the Penta's good, sometimes. They seem to have certain missions they're good for and some they're not, like the Ogress. To be honest, since it was reskinned, I think I've used it once or twice because it's not that it's been left behind, it's that this thing, it'll spend more time killing you than it'll spend killing the enemies because it's just, it is a high damage weapon, but for something you can only get from the labs, I was kind of hoping when they reskinned it they would buff it quite a lot to make you want to use something that will basically kill you, because the splash damage on this thing is just nuts. Which is why I kind of swapped over and started using the Tonkor a lot more, plus it looks really nice. But then again, I still think they used Viper thing on this. But so what I did is, first off, I swapped heavy caliber for split chamber. My serration was actually only leveled up like 4 points. So I've put a max 1 in there. I don't know why it didn't have a max 1 to begin with. And I swapped out critical delay, which took it to 104 points something percent crit chance. And I dropped Argon scope in here. Obviously Firestorm, it increases the blast radius, that goes without saying. Being a crit build, you do need point strike. Vital Sense added it and took it to 5.5 times the multiplier, which was pretty nice. And then I basically just threw corrosive on in the empty slots, because just having blast on this thing sometimes isn't really enough. Sometimes it is, but you can always swap these around and put any kind of element in there if you have the mods that will actually fit that. Otherwise, you do need to format this a lot more. And to me, if 20 chargers at level 70 survive this thing, it's not really worth it. And of course, I had to go and click the wrong button again. At least it keeps the enemy level. Because if it can't take these guys out pretty effectively, then I don't want it. Why aren't you moving? Okay, that took them out much more effectively than I thought. Because every round from this thing is apparently classed as a headshot. So Argon Scope basically kicks in every single time. And it took those guys out pretty easily. And this is why people keep telling me I need to come back and take another look at this. Because Argon Scope basically made this a hell of a weapon. And I've known this since it basically came out. But I wouldn't say I've avoided it. I don't use it that much. But when you do, well... Oh, it didn't kill them all. Killed them with a second round though. And considering the level 135 here, you know, being able to kill something with 2 rounds, that should... Red crits. Red crits. What is it? Red crits is over 100 and something percent. Oh, they're all actually dead. Red crits. Only from one enemy there though. And you see, it only fired 1 round there. 1 round. 2 rounds. And I know I'm going over this. See, that's 2 rounds. That's 2 rounds. That's 2 rounds. So it should be 2 rounds most of the time until you get that 1 round like that. That's why I had heavy caliber on this, not just bloody multi-shot all the time. And yes, it does turn it into a hell of a good weapon, not just that, but it doesn't kill you when you hit the floor, which makes it an even better weapon. This is definitely one of those that is well worth actually taking on. Now, if I actually swap this to a much harder enemy to kill, because these guys should have a lot more shields and stuff. Bloop. Yep, much more shields, but it's still taking them out pretty effectively compared to most other weapons that just wouldn't touch these guys at 135. at all. And they're probably... Are they going to kill me? I don't think they are. I think they may. Go away. Blast radius still isn't that good on this thing. And the magazine is a huge bit of an issue coming in at like 2 rounds. Yeah, can fire off those 2 rounds really easily. But it's not taking these ones out as easily as it was the other ones. At all. These guys seem to be taking a hiding. There's some dead ones. This is what I was hoping for. That is getting some really big crit numbers as well. When it actually manages to crit. And they're all dead. Level 135. All gone. But of course, it doesn't stop this thing being useful for many, many different reasons. Defense missions were always where I tend to use this thing just because, well, once the infested group around the thing, it's great. Where'd he go? There he went. So, yeah, with Argon Scope, it is a little bit better, but it's still... I don't want to say it's bad, it's not a bad weapon. I like the Tonkor a lot. I like the Penta more because you could actually land them somewhere and it would pretty much stay there until you detonated it. It had a slightly bigger magazine, and as you can see, the pod is taking a little bit of damage, but not really that much. But the rounds, they don't explode until they hit an enemy. And even when they hit an enemy, they still bounce off for some weird reason. It's the bounce on this that kind of put me off more than anything else from using it all the time. That and the 2 magazines is just such a pain at times.